I'm guessing you guys know what we're doing today, based off of what you can see here in front of me. We're doing some good old brakes on the BRZ. This is the second to last maintenance item that we have to do on this car, so let's just get it knocked out. Let's just do the thing. Let's do the thing today. Oh yeah, welcome back to the channel, guys. So as you guys know, the BRZ is almost up to spec for the maintenance items on it. The last two things we have to do here are the brakes, which we are going to be running the StopTech slotted rotors. I think they're like Sport Tech rotors or something like that, and they're sport pads. I wanted the slotted over the drilled because I don't like the weird cracking you get on the drilled rotors over time. Plus the slotted ones still work great for getting that gas that's trapped in between the rotor and the pad out of there. So we're gonna be getting those sorted on the car. I am very curious to measure these rotors, just the thickness of the rotor itself compared to what these other ones are, because I still do believe that these are the factory rotors that came in the car when the car was sold brand new 7 years ago. So we will find that out when we get these ones pulled off, but also an update on the STI, because I know I've been lacking on STI installs, but I want you guys to know that the parts that I'm ordering are very expensive. They're taking me quite a while to save up and actually buy the parts. But we have got our IAG fuel rails for the STI to start running E85. So actually, hold up, I want to show you guys these. They look beautiful. Ooh, look at those. We got some nice IAG fuel rails in on the, I think it was Friday. So I went and picked these up. So we have the first component for what I'm going to be needing to run E85 and the STI. I'm going to be ordering the fuel lines next, and then probably the flex fuel sensor, and fuel pressure regulator, and probably some of those other miscellaneous parts that we're gonna be needing to run E85. We're not gonna be installing any of this until I get all the exhaust stuff too, because we are gonna go external wastegate, rotated turbo, and all the goodness there. I haven't quite decided on the rotated setup, but remember, we are doing all of this on the stock block with the STI, because I do want to see how far we can push that factory block before it blows up. And then once it blows up, we'll pull it out and build that block, because we all know it's going to detonate and implode on itself at some point. So we did get the fuel rails in and all of the hardware with it, so I'm excited to get the fuel rails. Actually, I'm just excited to do all the stuff to the STI, but for the time being, we do need to get the BRZ up to operating spec. So we're going to get these rotors pulled off. Well, I'm going to get the car jacked up. We'll get the rotors pulled off, and then we'll go over tools. You know, we're going to do all the normal stuff. We're going to do all the normal stuff today for the BRZ, so let's just jump into it. Nice clean bench, huh? Not anymore. So here are our rotors. Why is this tape shut? Ah. So one thing I like about these rotors, I generally run these on all of my cars. We're gonna have such good braking. So one thing I really like about these StopTech rotors is, well, they're reasonably priced. I've ran these in all my cars, no issues with them. They get the job done, they stop your car, they evacuate those gases that are trapped between the brake pads and the rotors through these slotted channels on here. So these are pretty easy to swap on and off. I'm gonna show you guys how to do that. I'm also gonna show you guys how to do pads on the car. Now, if you have a 2015 WRX or if you have a WRX or an STI, this is pretty much gonna be the same process for you. If you need to learn how to change your brake pads on your STI, or you want to learn some more about the braking system in that, literally the second video I posted on YouTube way back in like July of last year, there's a really in-depth video showing you how to pull out every single pin, showing you what to do with the brake pads, how to recompress the cylinders. So if you need to do that for your STI, I will link that video somewhere somewhere around here. So with that, I'm gonna get the car jacked up actually first. I think I'm just gonna jack up all four corners. So I'm gonna run around the car, break all the lugs loose, we'll jack it up, and then start pulling off all those old rotors, and we'll pull them up on the bench, and we'll measure the thickness just to see how degraded those brakes actually are. We have got the wheels off, we have the rotors exposed right there. So we're gonna start by pulling these off. The first thing we need to do is take that caliper off. The caliper is gonna be two 14mm bolts holding the caliper to the knuckle. Once we get the caliper off, we need to make sure that the e-brake is down inside the car, or else this rotor is not gonna come off at all. Now, normally on these rotors, I don't know if they come on the OEM ones, but there's normally a small hole about here where you can put a 10mm bolt and push that thing off, but I don't see it on these ones. So we're gonna need a mallet to beat the hell out of this thing to get it off. So I'm gonna start pulling the caliper off. Once I get it off, I'll show you the location for the two nuts, or bolts, whatever you wanna call them, to hold it on. And then I'll show you how to beat the hell out of this thing to get it off. So, oh, also make sure when you're jacking up your car that you've got some sort of wheel chocks. I just use a couple 2x4s that I cut up just to keep the car in place. But with that, I'm gonna start getting this guy off, and then we will bring the camera up and I'll show you guys kind of where the knuckle and everything bolts together, so that way you guys can take it off if you are trying to do this also. probably not lose that. Oh my God. I'm gonna go on a limb here and guess these are 100% factory rotors. Fuck, dude, this is gonna suck to take off. All right, I'm gonna get to banging. Oh, we have bolt holes. Thank God. Okay, so when the caliper was on here, I didn't really see it, but you've got these two holes, one here and then another one down here. So what you can do is take a small like nut, bolt, whatever you want to call them, throw them into these holes, drive it down, and that should push the rotor off, so that way we don't look like fucking idiots smacking this thing with a mallet for 5 minutes when there's no need to. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this guy a try, and hopefully this rotor just pops right off. Yes! Fuck this thing, man. So as you guys know, I was kind of curious to see like how old these rotors were. So these are our new ones. So I just want to see the measurement differences between them. So I have my calipers here. I can clearly see that these rotors have been warped, which we come into about 18.16 millimeters on the used rotor we just pulled off. And on the new one going on, we have about, wow, really? 18.18. What? 18.19, interesting. 6.04, interesting. Okay, so I just went through and measured just the differences between these. I'm not sure if the stop techs run a different size spec than these ones do, but the measurements were fairly similar coming off of both of these. But I can guarantee you, this thing is old as shit. I'm pretty sure this is the factory rotor that came with the car. Pretty sure I need that little grommet out of there. Do I need that? Does that just pop right out? Ah, haha! Don't forget to put your new grommet in. I guess that's something. Guess that's a thing. So with that, I also have the new pads over here just so you can kind of see. There was like no pad left on these rotors, so I probably could have got away with just swapping over the pads. But just overall diameter wise on the pads, the ones that I pulled off the car are at 10.16 millimeters. The ones going on the car are at 16.35. So obviously those old pads have lived their life and have done their job way too well. Jesus Christ, just look at this difference, you guys. Like, these pads have lived their life way too long. So with that, we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna get the new rotors thrown on. So what we're gonna do here is we're gonna throw the rotor on, we're gonna bolt up the caliper back to the knuckle, we're gonna take off the other half of the caliper so we can swap out, or at least put the new pads on. And then this is where I'm gonna show you guys, I don't have a brake compressor tool to push that piston back in on the brakes. So I'm gonna show you the method that I use. Like I said, we're still only using the 20 tools within that 20 tool category without the hammer exception of how to do some of this stuff on Subarus. So please don't chastise me in the comments. I know I need a brake compressor tool, but we're gonna make it work for what I have. So with that, I'm gonna get this rotor thrown back on, that caliper bolted back up to the knuckle, and then I'll show you guys how I compress that piston back into the caliper. So this is what I'm gonna kind of show you guys my cheater way of doing. So with the piston here, normally you'd use a brake compressor tool, you'd stick it in here and you just clamp it down and it would push this back in. Now when you're doing this, make sure that you have your master cylinder reservoir open, so that way you're not trying to like super pressurize the system. We're just trying to push that brake fluid back through this line to be able to get this piston back in. Now because I don't have this tool, I use old brake pads. So I take 3 or 4 of these old brake pads, however many it's gonna take. I stick them inside of the caliper here, and then that leaves a little bit of room down here. So generally I can slide in one of these wrenches, hold this guy together, and use force to push it back in. Bam, just like that. So now, oh God, there goes that. So now we've got our cylinder compressed back inside of the actual caliper here so that we can actually do this stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna spray this down with a little bit of brake clean because this thing looks gross and old. So another thing to keep in mind when you're swapping out brakes is right down here, you have these like brake shoe holder guys, which, come on, get out of there. Let go, let go. Ah, these guys. So we have new ones from Stop Tech. So these just live right up in here on the top and the bottom, and they just pull right out just like that. So as you can see, those ones are filthy compared to our new ones, which look brand new, well, because they are. And then these guys just end up sitting right back into their home, just like that, just like that. And they hold the brake pads actually in place. Get in your home, get in your home. Why are you too good for your home? too. And they just literally just push right up in, and then we're gonna interlay our brake pads here and here. But since I'm making a mess in here, I'm gonna go ahead and just clean off that rotor. So now with that, I'm gonna get the backside of these brake pads greased up. We'll get them thrown on, get the caliper bolted back on, and then we can jump up to the front and start knocking out the front brakes. Overall, these already look a lot better, and I can already tell they're gonna feel better just based off of what we saw from the pads. Now with the brake pads, I use some of this small brake pad grease just to put on the backside of the pad, just so it stays a little lubricated. So just squeeze some out, slap it on the back of the pad there, just rub it all in. Oh yeah, nice and greasy. And then, oh God, now it's all over my finger. And then the pads will just line up right inside of those new brake shoes that we just put into the caliper. Slide right in. Do that on both of these guys. Slide that guy in his home. Get in your home. There we go. Now that guy is in his home. Now with the brake pads and everything reassembled here, we can go ahead, we can throw the rest of our caliper back on right over the top of these. And as you can see, we're not fighting any issues trying to get it to fit with the cylinder not compressed back in. So we can go ahead and bolt down the backside back to the caliper here. Woo! So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna get the wheel thrown back on this side. We're gonna get the car set back down, and I'm just gonna pump the brakes a couple times to let these cylinders fill back up and these lines fill back up with fluid. So that way it's actually putting compression back on this rear caliper. So with that, I'm gonna get this rotor sprayed down, and then we'll go ahead and keep going. Alright, so all of the brakes have been swapped on the car. We now have the stop techs on the rears and the fronts, and all the old rotors set aside right now. But we're not done. So if you can see here, the master brake cylinder, the master cylinder, we're gonna go with that, clearly has too much fluid in it now. So like I said, someone was compensating for the brakes by adding more fluid, which is not the proper thing to do. So I need to get some of this fluid out. I don't have a fluid transfer pump that is small enough to get in here. So I think what I'm gonna do is grab a paper towel and try to soak up some of the fluid and then dispose of that paper towel, because I don't have any, I don't even have like a turkey baster. I don't own a turkey baster. I'm 26 and I don't even have a turkey baster. I don't know what I'm doing with my life, so I'm gonna try to soak some of that up to drop that level. So let's time lapse that. Perfect. I'd say that's at the max level. Let's put in our filter and our cap and then spray that down. All right, so that fluid level looks much better than what it was. So fluid's good. New pads, new rotors. Overall, just hopping in the car and turning it on, the brakes feel a whole lot better. The brakes feel so much firmer. Like it actually feels like 1,000 times better. So with that, the brakes on the car feel honestly 100 times better than when I got it. The new pads and the new rotors are très magnifique. So with that, there's really only one other maintenance item left to do to this turd, and that is going to be the drivetrain maintenance that we're gonna have to do with the new Motul fluid. So I got the same stuff that we put in the STI. So this is the Motul Gear 75 weight 90. I'm gonna be doing that in the transmission and the rear diff. Now someone did point out in the prior fluid video that you should be using the 90 PA from Motul for the rear differential for LSDs. Yes, if you want to go for it, that is the proper fluid. I do use the 75 weight 90 in the rear differential, even though it is an LSD. It just makes it a little bit grabbier and a little stickier for what I like. But if you do want to use the proper fluid, grab yourself some 90 PA fluid. That is the actual LSD fluid. But with that, that is really going to wrap up the brakes on this car. Next weekend, we're going to take the BRZ up to the mountains and see how it performs after doing all of this maintenance. And we're gonna go beat the hell out of it up there, the proper way of doing so. So with that, ooh, if you guys liked this video, go ahead, you know what to do. Smash that little thumbs up, turn that little thumbs up blue. Ooh, 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 and if you are not already subscribed to the channel and you wanna be, pick a, I don't know what corner, but one of these corners, go ahead and hit that little mini picture of myself because it's a little weird. And with that, I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace out, homies. Woo!